Right, we're ready to start taking the movement apart. We'll start off with the pendulum leader. This piece here that's tied on there with a couple of loops. We'll undo those with 2 pairs of pliers once we get a grip on it. Not very much, just a bit more than the thickness of that piece of steel there. That piece of steel rod is all we need, and that should do us, I would think. Alright, we'll turn that round, slide it off. And I won't do those couple of clamps up because I don't know how many times that has been undone. And we don't need to stress the metal any more than it is already. Alright, so we'll leave that there. Now we'll remove this piece here by just unscrewing it. And it comes straight out. Put the movement back on our block again, out of the road. Let's have a look and see. No, that's in pretty good nick actually. There doesn't seem to be any rust on that, just a little bit of dirt. Whereas the pendulum leader, as we can see, has got a fine layer of rust on it up here and even more so down there, so we'll run over that with a piece of fine steel wool before it goes back in again. And we'll have a look here, and you can see that's a pretty clean piece of pegwood. Look at the gunk that's on that pivot. Look at that. And it's even worse on this one down here. Huge amounts. Been over oiled, and over time it's collected dust, and that's the end result. So we'll have to clean those up before they go into the ultrasonic cleaner. We'll remove that. Alright, well that's what we've removed at the back there. Actually, I'll remove that pendulum leader there so we don't have any dramas with it. All I have to do on the crutch here is use 2 pairs of pliers, one to hold the crutch firmly and the other one to turn that piece of metal there down just a tiny little bit. If I can get under it without the pendulum leader in the road. And then up the top, the pendulum leader where it's flat, it slides out very easily. And we'll leave that crutch open. You can see it's not very much, just a tiny bit, sufficient to get the pendulum leader out. Alright, now we'll put our movement, actually I need something to support the movement a little bit so that it's not resting on the crutch while we take the front pieces off. So back in a moment. Alright, that's better, that's sitting there and the crutch won't get caught now. Now I'm going to start taking off the pieces off the front. We'll have a look and see. The first thing we've got before we can remove the snail is on the hour wheel. We have a C-clip which we'll very carefully remove because these things love disappearing across your floor somewhere when you take them off. I'll aim it at that block I've got there and hope it doesn't. It's moved a little bit but not quite fully, which is a good thing I think. Just about there. I think it's still holding on too tightly. We'll have a look and see. Where's a pointy pair? If I can get down into that groove in there, it might work. There we go. Tiny little C-clip. I'll put that there for the moment. Now we can remove the snail. It will just slide up. Oh, before we do that, we'll remove this little washer cap here that was there under the C-clip. Now we can remove the snail to get the rack out of the road, but it's not quite. Alright, we'll have to take the rack off first. Well, if nothing else, we're open to compromise all the time. Alright, so the rack comes off. You'll have to pardon my voice at the moment of getting over a cold. Well, I think I'm getting over it. Alright, there's another C-clip there. I'll put my thumb behind that so that it doesn't shoot away once we try to take it off. That's about as far as it's going to go, I think, for the moment. Pointy pair of tweezers. Aha, carefully, that's got him. Put him in our dish, and first thing we'll do is we'll check and see. Yes, they're the same size because sometimes those C-clips are different and they're not interchangeable. Alright, we'll take the rack off. That just slides up and out. Now the snail will come straight off, and I'm always impressed with Hubert Herr having plastic wheels and parts in their clocks. They're a quality movement and there's nothing particularly quality about a slab of plastic. However, there it is. That's the hour wheel. Once it decides to let go, thank you. That's the hour wheel. We'll put these in their own dish in a moment. That's the cannon arbor with 2 cams on it down there, and the rack stop lever has a C-clip on it in there, and these ones are very prone to disappearing around the room. I'll put these parts into that tub over there, and now this piece here, the rack stop lever, we're going to remove the C-clamp on it there, very nervously I might add. I don't think that's going to spin much in either direction, no. If I can turn it round a bit to get a neater shot at it. I'll put my thumb behind that just in case it wants to leave in a hurry. These ones are notoriously hard to get off from inside there. A pair of pointy tweezers, and no, it's still there. I'll use a dentist probe and see if I can get inside it with that and put some pressure on it. Yep, there we go. That did the job. Now, the rack stop lever should just come straight out. And it does. Right, now we're starting to clean things up a bit. Now, this guy here has to come out. Being careful of the hammer lever there. And that nut looks a bit on the loose side. I don't think we've tampered with those yet, so that's loose. Alright, one more C-clamp to go. Once again, being very much on the careful side. Where's the opening? There it is. I think I felt a bit of movement there, but our dentist probe might be required again. Nope, it hasn't moved. Sure looks like it has. I wonder if that's... I think my dentist probe could do with a bit of work on it. Looking a bit lumpy, and there we go, that's got him. Excellent, we haven't lost any at this stage. So there's the 4th one in our dish again. That lever will now come straight out. Put him over there. Now we've got everything off the movement, we can start taking it to pieces. Right, back on our block, and that's better. Let's take those pieces of wood out. There we go. Now, see what we've got in the way of a spanner. 6mm. All right. So we'll undo these, take them off, put them in a dish. They'll run off pretty easily. Spin him round. We'll just have to be careful of the hammer lever when we take the back off, because you'll notice that the spring goes up through that loop there, and the only way to get that out is when we take it out, we're going to have to pull the lever down. We can't sort of put a pair of pliers on and sort of twist it out and hope it's going to work, because it won't. Look at the gunk on those pivots. All right, fair enough, we'll solve that in a moment. All right, now the nuts are off. Put that back in our block, and we'll carefully start to lift the back plate. And there we go. There's our movement. That seems to be a relatively new looking movement actually. There's very little wear on it from what I can see at the moment. We've got some rust on there, we'll clean that up. Crutch isn't too bad. There's no wear marks on either the leading or the trailing face, but we'll touch them up with a little bit of 2000 mesh paper before we put it back in. And there's our back plate, complete with huge amounts. Oh, look at the crap on that. This one there pretty much defies description. Right, we'll clean those up. I'll have to clean up the pigwood too after that lot. We'll clean those up before we put them into the ultrasonic cleaner. Now we'll take the parts out. Second wheel, escape wheel, and the first wheel. All the brass seems pretty new, doesn't it? There doesn't seem to be any wear and tear on any of this thing. I don't know if it's done a lot of work in its lifetime. We'll check the ratchet, see which way it goes. Certainly turns that way. The question is, will it turn backwards? If so, we're in trouble. No, it doesn't. Right, that lot's alright, but that can't go into the ultrasonic cleaner because it's got a plastic wheel on it. And it's clamped on, it's not held on by a C-clamp, so that can't go into the ultrasonic cleaner. Alright, let's have a look at the other side now. Second wheel on the strike side won't come out because that's got the maintenance cam on it. You've got to admit, all the brass is in pretty good shape actually. So we'll start at the top, we'll take the fly out, then the third wheel, which will come out from there, the warning wheel with a pin on it, and then the first wheel underneath here, out it comes. Even the spring's shiny on it. Alright, once that way and doesn't work backwards, so we'll just check the... No, doesn't run that way, runs that way. Alright, we'll give those a clean up in some kerosene. There's a little bit of verdigris down in there. You may be able to see just a little bit down in there. You can't see anything on that, it's filthy. But we'll clean those up in some kerosene. See how they come up. Those pins seem to be a little bit bent. They're not exactly straight up and down, but be very fragile. Before we touch those, we'll try and see if it works properly. If it does, we won't worry about them. If it doesn't, oh, that one there's got a bend on it. That one's going to have to be straightened. All right, well, fair enough. And then what we've got left is, yep, it did come out. All right, we did manage to take that out. That's a minute arbor, and it's got another plastic wheel on, so that can't go into the ultrasonic, but there's a little bit of rust down there we'll have to take off from that before it goes back in. Well, looking at the movement, that's very good quality brass, and I would think has had very little use. Let's clean out the bushes before we put this into the ultrasonic. Right, first up, I'll clean up the end of our stick here, get rid of the last lot of gunk on it, and we'll run it through, spin it round, and remove what we can of the grease and dirt that's still inside those holes. And then, now that's the worst one, that one there. Then I'll run over it with a piece of cloth, take the stuff off from the top, turn it over, clean the pegwood, turn it over and attack it from the other side. We'll have to do the same once it comes out of the ultrasonic to make sure that they're clean, but we're getting them cleaner at the moment. And that shockingly ghastly one there. Alright, run over that with a piece of cloth, remove as much of that oil and dirt and other stuff as possible. Right, we've done both sides of that now. That's ready to go into the ultrasonic. We'll have a look at the back plate, and it's in the same condition. So we'll run over those, peg them out. I wiped the grease off the back of this before, that's why it suddenly looks clean. I'll run over it once again to make sure. Now, clean the tip of the pegwood and tackle it from this side now. Half of them aren't too bad. The other ones are absolutely disgusting, as we'll see in a moment. This one here is pretty bad, but that has to be a record amount of badness, that one does. Alright, clean that up, take the excess grease and dirt off the side of that, and that looked like that ate the end of the pegwood, which is that guy there. So I'll push that out backwards, and you can see there's the tip of the pegwood that snapped off inside it. Alright, got rid of that. Alright, we'll get those wrapped up and we'll put them into the ultrasonic. The parts are now ready for the ultrasonic cleanup. We'll start off by putting the front and back plates in, then the going side train, only a couple of wheels there, a couple of wheels on the fly, and the stroke side, the nuts that hold the plates together, and the cup bell that we're going to clean up later on the Fordham and get a nice shine on it again. Okay, no other parts can go in because they've got steel on them or plastic, so we'll put that in the ultrasonic cleaner. Run it for 5 minutes at 30 degrees. I'll clean the parts up and bring them back. Then we're ready for the next stage. A huge thank you to my Patreon, YouTube and Ko-fi members who make this video possible. Without their kind help, I would not be able to keep this channel alive and continue to make these videos. I can't thank them enough. If you want to support my channel, join my Patreon, my YouTube or my Ko-fi page by clicking the link in the description below. Memberships start at $2.